11:02 p.m. Welcome back to the Burrow. My name is Emily.
And I'm Macy Lynn.
And today we're going to be talking about one of the most famous American serial killers of all time, a man by the name of Jeffery Dahmer. I love how I just got interrupted by a Pepsi. Are you really going to interrupt Jeffrey?
I said Jeffrey.
How could you do this to Jeff?
Okay, so let's just start out by saying this is my favorite freaking serial killer. Now, her bear is named after Jeffrey.
But for the record, you chose the name.
I did. But so, here's the thing. I freaking love Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay. So, general info on Jeffery. So, he was born May 21st, 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was antisocial and never took much interest in activities. By antisocial, do you mean antisocial personality disorder or just like antisocial as an introvert?
He had antisocial tendencies, but later was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder.
Which,
so
by
he was
the way,
a psychopath.
Okay, so by the way, antisocial personality disorder does not mean that you just don't hang out with people. It means you are extremely passive aggressive and do not care about human feelings that much. Like, you would just straight up destroy somebody's car and not care about it. Or yeah. You just, and it's not because you just hate everybody, it's because you don't understand those feelings. Straight psychopath. I mean, his father taught him taxidermy as a child. Would you like to explain what that is? Because you know I'm going to mess it up.
Taxidermy is where because taxidermy is the study of animal bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Taxidermy is where you take the bodies that are studied, open them, take all the guts and junk out, and basically take the fur and create a fake body for this animal. Mm-hmm. So you stuff rabbits.
Those stuffed ducks and deer you have in your house.
Like the deer head, that's taxidermy.
Taxidermy, yeah. But I would have been it's a stuffed animal.
I mean, technically, yes. But we say the stuffed duck, the stuffed deer you have in your house, but I don't think that's really a thing outside the South or rural areas.
If we ever get popular, I'm sorry, Northerners that don't understand our lingo.
Well, there's some rural areas that would have
yeah.
it, but that's not a thing, I don't think.
So he ended up taking a strong interest in dead animals. Became an alcoholic in his early teens.
Living his best life.
Parents divorced while he was a senior in high school, and then his dad immediately moved out after the divorce, and then a little bit later his mother and brother moved out, and so he was left home alone with no family at age 18, and he lived there several months by himself.
Yeah, for 8 months. Okay.
And so I mean he just was straight up alone.
And this goes directly into the first murder. The first murder was a hitchhiker by the name of Stephen Hicks, who he picked up on his way home, just kind of chilling. And they went home, they had some drinks, whatever. And Stephen was like, okay, it's time for me to bounce. And Jeff was like, I'm good.
Stay.
Forever. He strangled him, chopped his body up, buried the body, and then a few days later he went out and got all the bones, crushed them up, and scattered them in a ravine in his yard. And those bones weren't really found until I think after his death is when they were found. But yeah, and then his father moved back in and forced him to go into the military, but he was discharged really early, dishonorable discharge, for drinking excessively and alcoholism. So he moved in with his grandmother so his parents wouldn't find out. Solid move.
Mm-hmm.
And he began frequenting bathhouses, which at this time, I don't know if they still are to this day, but we're at this time we're a very big meeting place for homosexual men. Mm-hmm. And so he would hit them up and invite some people over to get drunk at his grandma's house. Because, grandma's house where it'd be getting lit.
His victims. So, like, of course, we already talked about his first murder. But now we're going to go on to all of his other victims.
Which, for the record, we're going to explain the ones that are, like, the most important in our opinion, or, like, different from the regular norm of him just strangling, dismembering, eating, getting rid of the body. And then we have, because there were 17 victims in total, so we have, I believe, 4 victims that we're actually going to talk about, and there are 13 others that we have just listed, but like...
But we'll, like, explain,
not
like,
go
his
into detail.
MOs with those people.
Yeah.
Like, specific things he did. Okay, so first one is Stephen Tuomi, and this happened in September of 1987. They checked into a hotel together, began drinking, and Dahmer actually blacked out, and when he woke up, Stephen's body was just, like, dead there. And so, he has no recollection of, like, what happened, but, like, very clearly, he killed the dude. So, he brought the body back to his grandmother's basement, where he, like, dismembered it, photographed it, and, like, did sexual things with the body.
Okay, so the next dude bro is a Laotian boy who, I'm not absolutely certain of his name, so I'm not going to put it in here. Emily not knowing his name, part 1 of this video. He was assaulted in September of 1989 and was 13 years old at the time. And he was one of the only 2 victims to survive a Dahmer attack.
And the second one that survived just so happened to be the person that got him caught.
Well, I mean, there's only so many times people could survive without you getting caught.
Yeah. Okay, so next victim, Ricky Beeks. May of 1990, he was 33 years old. Dahmer paid him for nudes, so he was like, I'm gonna lure him in by being like, I will give you money for nudes.
Which he did for really all of his victims. That's how he got him. And he was like, either I got alcohol or I got money. And if you let me take pictures of you, I give you money.
So then, like, they posed.
They were like,
Get strangled. So he got strangled. Photographed, he removed his flesh and bleached his bones, and his skull was found painted in, like, it says in his apartment. Are you talking about?
In Jeffrey's apartment.
Okay, yeah, in Jeffrey's apartment. Just double checking, because she does, like, really vague notes.
I do, and it's because I'm writing them for me, and by the time I'm typing it, it's gotten to the point where I'm so tired of writing notes that I'm just like, just get this over with. So they get so much worse towards the end. Like, at the very beginning, they're, like, super detailed, and at the end, it's, like, one word. Like, all these things except the painting of the skull were things he learned from his dad from taxidermy, so...
Like, so, like, a lot... Now, like, Dahmer specifically said later in life, don't blame anything on my childhood. This is just how I am. But, like, if you look at his childhood, the only reason he knows how to do any of this stuff is because his dad taught him to. And I would honestly want to keep people, like, the people he killed were people that wanted to leave him. Like, any situation, it was because they tried to leave. Okay? So, like, I would go crazy about people leaving too if I had mental instability and my mom and, like, my whole family just left me alone for 8 months.
And there was, like,
one of the most confusing times of my life.
There was the story of this one guy who survived. I don't remember which one it was. But he was talking, and he was like, yeah, the minute I had mentioned leaving, his entire... Like, he was completely super social, super nice, up until he mentioned leaving. And then he just completely changed. He started getting really scared. He was like, oh my god, he can't leave. This person can't leave. He can't leave. He can't leave. And he was like, no, you need to stay. You need to stay. Blah, blah, blah. So it was crazy.
He just wanted somebody to, like, be there for him, which gets into one of our things later. But move on to...
He eats people.
I was talking about something else. Conorak.
I'm just saying.
I know, yeah.
The eating people has to do with that too. He eats them just so that they'll stay with him forever.
Mm-hmm.
So
because then he
has
like
attachment
they become
issues.
a part of their body.
Attachment issues.
Conorak
Synthesymphone. Boy, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Girl, his name's ridiculous. Anyway, was another Laotian boy found sometime in May 1991. He was 14 years old at the time, and he was drugged, and then weirdly enough, Dahmer left this drugged, unconscious, naked child in his apartment. He left to go pick up some alcohol, stopped at a bar, had a few drinks, came back, and this kid was sitting naked on the sidewalk with police and his neighbors.
Yeah.
Just like, and he saw Dahmer come back, and he was like, oh my god, that's him. No, you can't let him have me back. No, I can't go back. And then, but Dahmer was just like, oh, it's just like, it's a lover's thing. It's a domestic.
It's a lover's quarrel.
It is a domestic situation. It is not something the police need to be involved in.
And then so
and the police
just
were like,
yeet.
Police were like, sounds a lot like this is still like the early 90s, and us being involved in domestic things is not okay. So
they just left.
They left, and Conrad was strangled and had all the good things done to him afterwards. You know, the beheading and whatnot. But, interesting fact, he was actually the brother of the original Laotian boy who was assaulted by Dahmer and survived.
See, here's what confuses me so much. Okay. Like, straight up, I understand investigation was a little bit different in the 90s, but it wasn't as far behind as, like, some people think it was. So, straight up, the police saw Dahmer with this guy, knew he went back into his house. Like, the guy was already afraid of him.
Apparently he looked older than he was. He looked 18, so they couldn't do anything about it. Like, they cannot do anything about it.
Okay, but still, then this guy turns up dead. Like, I don't know if the police did question Dahmer or not, but, like, there's some serious, like, you can find evidence there.
Well, 91 was his last operative year. It was May. He was arrested in July, so it's not like it took him that long.
That's true.
So, they weren't too far behind. They're doing their best. Even though the police officers who said, nah, we're not going to deal with this, yeah, they got in a little bit of trouble. They were like, you probably should have dealt with that.
I mean, he managed to kill, I think,
5 or 6, 7,
yeah.
8, 9, 10, 9 people in 91.
But specifically after Conorak, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 people after Conorak before he ever got arrested.
He also just kind of went crazy and started killing like once a week.
Yeah, he got moving fast.
He went hard. Anywho, speaking of our lovely other victims, don't worry about saying the dates and everything. Just
well, just know that I'm saying these in order.
They're in chronological order from 1988 to 1991.
Okay. So, James Doxeter, Anthony Sears, Edward Smith, David Thomas, Ernest Miller, Curtis Straughter, Errol Lindsay, Tony Hughes, Matt Turner, Jeremiah Weinberger, wow, Oliver Lacey, Joseph Bradahoft, and Tracy Edwards.
This man had a thing for killing people with difficult names to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was intentional or not. He was just like, hey, what's your name? And if it was something like John Smith, he'd be like, yeah, you basic, I can't kill you.
So, like, let's talk about some of the things he did. So, of course, like, whenever he got his own apartment, moved out of his grandmother's house, that's part of when he started eating people.
That's when everything started picking up.
He wanted to attach himself to people and stuff like that. That's where he started really getting his MOs, really getting into it. He also, one of the things, now, like, it's kind of, well, I guess it is kind of hard to say MO because a lot of serial killers with true MOs leave their bodies to be found. These ones he hid or he ate them. Yeah. But so, I mean, like, but he did do specific
parts
things
of
to
the
them.
body to be found.
So, but one thing he did with a couple people, he wanted to make them sex zombies. And so he drilled like a hole into their skull and injected their brains with either boiling water or like acid.
Muriatic acid,
Yeah.
also known as hydrochloric acid or stomach acid.
Yeah. And in an attempt to turn them into zombies, and instead it just killed them.
You can buy that stuff at Lowe's for like $8 a bottle. It's like ridiculously cheap to buy hydrochloric acid, and it should not be that easy.
And you could easily just like, I mean, it's like very.
It's incredibly easy to do that. Like I was.
And it can melt your skin. I mean, I wonder if Jeffrey Dahmer just ate it off the bone like a chicken wing.
Oh yeah, he said it tastes like pork. So if you're ever curious what people taste like, they taste like pig.
According to Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, and like another dude in Germany, I don't even remember his name.
Okay, let's move on to the arrest.
So on July 22nd, 1991, Tracy Edwards escaped Jeffrey Dahmer. He was the second victim and the last victim, thank God. And the only other one to have survived. He escaped and hit up the police car that was down the road.
The second one to have survived. You said the only one.
I said the second and the last one.
Oh, but then you said the only one.
The second of the only two who survived.
Okay.
The only ones who survived.
Good.
Anyway. So he hit up a police car down the street. He was like, listen, this dude, he's got whole dead bodies in his, like, whole dead, like, heads in his freezer. And the police were like, are you sure about that? And then he was like, yee. So they bust up into Dahmer's place and they were like, wow.
This is true.
Wow, this is bad. So his house was actually declared a biohazard because of all the acid and dead bodies.
Mm-hmm. How could you just live with dead bodies all around you? So he did like fully go to prison and everything. He was like guilty, convicted,
of
everything.
15 consecutive life terms, 957 years. Which doesn't make sense. If you're going to convict someone for that long, just kill them. You'd think after being convicted of 15 counts
you would
of
just
murder, a first-degree murder, they'd just be like, okay, you need to go now.
But either way, he was murdered in jail on November 28th, 1994. So, I mean, it was a few years later and everything, but he was murdered via beating by his fellow inmates.
Blunt force trauma.
See, I wonder if he found that kinky. I'm just like, I want to know what he thought about things being totally on. Like, I mean, I truly want to know how serial killers fully think, and some of them, the ones I really want to know about, are dead. Eileen, why couldn't I have just had a conversation with you?
Yes. So, in conclusion, don't kill people. You gonna die too. Because people gonna be like, you killed people. And so they gonna get you. So yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. If you want more information, we will try to make sure to link the links that we used to get this research information done. And I don't know, do y'all think we should start putting our notes on the case? Like a link to there? There? I don't know, let us know if you want to see our case notes. Like we explained earlier, they're not that great because it gets to the point where I'm so tired of writing. But I don't know, I'll put effort into them if I actually have to like let y'all see them. So.
Oh, and then it'll take like 5,000 more hours for you to finish.
It's true. But see, once I actually get started, it takes me like an hour and a half.
I'm so sorry that I'm so tired.
It's 11:36 p.m.
Okay, but so, just kind of going over it, even though he said that he wasn't like, it wasn't his past that formed him, it so many things very clearly came from his past. He was definitely a messed up person. He, just naturally started killing people. And he was just like, I'm gonna take this innocent man back to my place to kill him.
Whack him upside the head with a barbell. And yeet him into the yard.
And then he, like, even after burying that dude, he brought him back out. And, like, after that, like, a lot of serial killers will at least, I mean, like, or an okay few just kill them and leave them to be found. Or, like, even maybe just chop them up and bury them. They don't take the time to paint their skulls or skin their bones. He was, like, truly crazy.
Like, actually
this was
deranged.
like this was his hobby. This was his life. This was his love. This, I mean, dude.
Yeah.
This one's deep with me.
Yeah, this one's her specialty. But my specialty is shameless self-promotion. So welcome to Emily promoting We Have Stickers. They're stickers, and we couldn't see them, so I'm gonna like get like oddly close to the camera.
Okay.
Because we couldn't really see them in the last video, but so you could actually see the stickers. I don't know if this is like in the frame or not.
It should be.
They say Bunny Studios. They got a little logo on there.
It's the logo of our channel.
And I'm not sure if this will be over by the time this video is up or not, but if not, then first 3 people who want one, we have 3 free ones available. After that, they should be anywhere between $1 to $3 each.
And I mean, we did say that in the video we recorded before this one, like way a while back. But we haven't even uploaded that one yet. We haven't even finished editing it. Because
crazy with school.
your girl's tired.
So tired.
So, but I mean, after that whole 3 free thing, which by the way, this was not included in the last video. Just so you know, you cannot try and claim all 3. You get 1 for free. So 3 people can get one of these free.
I'm pretty sure they get it.
You know Christian, he's going to try and snatch all 3.
I love how we just like openly call people out, like expose people. I like how progressively we've looked worse and worse in our videos. We're just like,
I work at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Let's just go down the list.
we really don't need to, but okay.
But we have to. He's fine. Emily has said he's fine before, but then she goes back on it. It's like, he's only low. He's fine.
He's
okay?
like, okay, debatable.
He wasn't as fine in his later years, but like.
In the beginning, yeah, he was pretty good, not even gonna lie. But he was also pretty gay, which is kind of a problem with the fact that I'm a girl.
Yeah.
That's
one of the downsides. And he was like a massive killer. Pros and cons.
That's not even a con. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Serial killer who dissolves people in acid? Sign me up. Oh my gosh.
Nope.
This feels so wrong without our mugs.
It does.
Today's video is brought to you by water.
And Pepsi.
Water. No, Pepsi is not sponsoring us. Water is sponsoring us. Hydrate or dihydrate. You know you're dehydrated. You best drink some water.
Always dehydrated.
The movie itself is
just pronounce it as it looks.
Symbolism. No, because our job is to present the facts, and the facts are I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name.
Well, so you would have to create some kind of virus
like an antiviral.
Oh, like a virus that would kill the brain.
I bet he liked olives. I hate olives.
I love olives.
I feel like Jeffrey Dahmer liked olives.